hope so.
This is the Little Falls City Council work session for March 18th, 2019.
non-government, non-voted green organization that's funded by our tax dollars from the working class citizens. I do not want to pay for something I do not want. This is a form of theft. There are people here, back here, who know what they are talking about, and you people, you need to listen to them. We the people voted you in, and we the people can vote you out. That's something you should really remember. For every one of us who are here, and against this nonsense, green lives, there are hundreds of friends, family, people who stand behind each one of us. Many people cannot make these meetings. They are busy with like their normal life stressors, things like being overworked, overtaxed, family. They're tired, they're having babies, raising children, and they have health issues, etc. There's a lot of people that we speak to and agree with what we're talking about tonight. It doesn't mean they do not care. They are against this fraudulent, lying, green movement, government control takeover. That's how we feel. The city council is supposed to be the professionals looking out for the best interests of the people of Little Falls. Just like when we hire a doctor, a lawyer, a plumber, or an electrician, we choose them. We choose them because we can't be experts in every field. So when you know more than the professional, that's a huge problem. We the people demand these non-government, non-voted, made-up organizations be stopped now. They are lying, money-thieving, fraudulent organizations. So these non-government, non-voted, and green environmental organizations who claim to be concerned about the environment. Maybe our government should not be shipping in hundreds of thousands of non-English speaking, non-tax-paying foreigners. How about starting there? These are a burden to all of our resources, natural and monetary. That is the first link. We don't need laws to tell us where to live, how to live, when to plant flowers, when to plant trees, love our trees, how to preserve our land. Okay.
Excuse me, Renee, would you spell your last name, please?
Trankner.
Thank you.
Someone else like to speak?
My name is Linda Donahue. I live at 716 6th Street Northeast, Little Falls. And I have a question I would like y'all to think about, and that is, why sign on to someone else's regulations? Little Falls has enough regulations, and in those regulations they want you to sign on to, there are 3 pages of mandatory steps. I can only pray to realize that they can add more and more mandatory regulations, and then they have that green community. And who are these people? Seriously, I mean, we don't know who they are. They could be related to Hitler, Mao Zedong, maybe not, but maybe. We do not know these people. I guarantee they're not from Little Falls, and they don't know Little Falls and what it means. I don't know why he would want to be under their thumb, their control. And if you don't follow them exactly, they can come up with fines and stuff. They need our dollars to further their agenda. I pray everyone on the city council realizes that you also have God Almighty to answer to someday. The Bible is God's word, God's mind, God's heart. And it says, the gates to hell are wide, the gates to heaven are narrow. Greed is a sin. Little Falls has zoning regulations, and we don't need new and different ones. We don't, it seems to me it would be headaches for you. They are just getting started. They can certainly add more to their agenda. They're trying to hook and reel the cities and towns in now. But as someone mentioned last week, mandatory buildings in Little Falls that are the same as new buildings in Minneapolis, it's ridiculous. Do they want the old historic buildings gone? Please leave Little Falls out of the madness, the craziness, and the ridiculousness. We have enough laws and regulations. We're taxed enough already. Thank you.
Go ahead. Greensteps, 13601, 123rd Street, Little Falls. And I will make it slightly different than last week. I want to address the issue of Agenda 21. During the week, a few of you raised some concerns about this because it sounds like some wild conspiracy thing. But what I want you to realize, it's kind of like a shell game. These organizations keep changing their names. Whenever once the public begins to focus on what they're saying and what they're doing, they immediately change to another name. A very good example of this, last week when I was talking about green communities criteria, and now everybody's shying away from it. A year ago, it was on the websites of every one of these organizations. The Thriving Communities League of Cities, Region 5, it was one of their main things. Well, once it was brought to the public's attention, it suddenly disappeared. They're not on their websites anymore. You can see that. But what's very, very similar now is the 29 steps. It's not identical, but it has simply been reworked a little bit with a different name. It's the same with Agenda 21. Agenda 21 is the same thing as the Sustainable Movement and the Kyoto Accords. As you know, in the Greensteps we pointed it out last week, it makes it very clear that they're going to follow the Kyoto agreements. This is international law. This is not just illegal action because the president pulled out of it. We cannot follow international law. But that's all Agenda 21 is international law. Don't be afraid when you hear Agenda 21. They simply morphed into another name. So you're going to be hearing a lot about the Kyoto Accords, and your own governor recently said that's what he was going to focus on, to bring it to every community in Minnesota using the Greensteps League of Cities and all these others. That's your governor's own words. But before I run out of my 3 minutes here, another good example of the morphing of these changes in name, Region 5, who you're all familiar with, is now becoming Sourcewell. I'm not saying they're going to completely dump the Region 5 name, but all of a sudden, you're not hearing much about Region 5, you're hearing lots about Sourcewell. Read it on the internet. Excuse me. It's a destroyed microphone here. And all through this Region 5, all through the whole thing, read it for yourselves. Don't believe me. Okay, one other real quick point about this international law. You can check this for yourself. Go on your internet when you go home tonight and punch in UN Resolution on. And then plug in any of these cute little terms that they're using. Smart meters, smart growth, diversity, any of these words that these guys use. There's a UN resolution for it, and surprisingly, the wording is almost identical to what it says in the Minnesota stuff. Now, to tell you it's all local, it's all Minnesota, I kind of suspect the UN did not come here to Minnesota to get their wording. Is that a fair assumption? And it's the same in every city in the entire country, as a matter of fact, and some other countries as well. So do yourselves a favor, go out tonight, look at it. Thank you. Anyone else like to speak?
I'm Lynn White-Collar, 33221 Westboro Piers. Wasn't quite ready. But the UN Agenda 21, 30, 50, new names, same thing. It is UN controlled. Melissa's a very nice gal from the U of F comes to talk to you. She means well. Most of them mean well at a local level, so the ones coming in. But they're being controlled by all of these laws, these non-governmental organizations. Greensteps cities first page, it says their goals are to achieve sustainability and quality of life goals. What is sustainability? It's different for them than for you. For them, it means your individual homes are not sustainable, cars are not sustainable, cow parks are not sustainable. These people are not even serious. This is real. They have 3 goals and 3 E's. Economics, equity, environment. Economics would be like your private partnerships with businesses. You won't see it for a while, but eventually they'll be telling businesses what they can charge for their products, what they can be selling. Houses, you've already heard that they want low housing with high-end homes because it's socially equitable. But it's racist to have a single-family home because blacks and Asians and people of color apparently are too stupid to buy homes. Now that's racist. Environment, they're really playing that big to control you with all their laws. That's how much time I have left, but I need to get to your last paragraph in your resolution. Read it. Will claim credit for having independent and will work. They're mandatory. You're saying you will work. I guarantee you it's in your last paragraph of your resolution. You will do it. That's where you're controlling. Anyway, you're saying you're going to do this stuff. Did you say a minute? Do I have time left? Oh, did you? Okay, example, real life examples of what's going on with using business, building codes and things like that. Lady, elderly woman, grandma, she had to grow tomato plants, a small patch of tomato plants in her backyard because of the code violation. Fine, $150 a day to have tomato plants in the backyard. These are some of the regulations they push for. Senior citizen was handcuffed and hauled to jail for failure to water a lawn. $100 fine for failing to mow the lawn turned into $2,250 fine for trying to fight it. These are things that happen when you get into these resolutions.
Well, let's see, my with no rights, my light bill went down,
What was the name again?
That's still yeah.
That's too bad.
Yeah.
You called the last meeting with the Thank you. Quite well, I replied. And you asked her, who's signing the check? Which is, that was a darn good question. Which she pronounced sess. Now, I have a question for you folks. We are pushing you with our, what we have in mind. Who has been pushing you from Greensteps? Your time is not ours. You can take it off my calendar if you could have. And I'm going to say, what is that in the ledger and believe it? Well, we'll discuss this when it comes our time in that regular session. I have done some research. I did look into a lot of things. Public comment. Or you can take it out. No. Anyway, that's all my question. I'm curious what kind of pressure you folks can get. You'll share that with us then when it's your turn?
Yeah, that's for sure.
Okay. Someone else like to speak?
Warmed up, and then we got that rain. And all ran in the garage, so I got down much water. So front to back, when the snow goes away, then I'll worry about the garage.
All right, if no one else wishes to speak, no discussion.
The next day, I run back. You too, take care.
The question is actually a really small amount. I'm just curious as to what it is. And it's two places, the water plant and the collections both had to pay a railroad management crossing fee.
Correct. We pay crossing fees to the railroad to the tune of about, I don't know, $8,000 to $9,000 a year for our water and sewer lines and streets to cross their railroad tracks, the railroad tracks. So we get billed throughout the year several different times. So there's two on this bill. We'll have one next time, and throughout the year, mostly in September. Most of them are in September.
So the railroad charges us to
Yes,
cross the track.
their tracks, yes.
They don't have to pay assessment.
Or taxes, yeah.
And they send a letter speaking out against the assessment.
Yeah.
Same way it does it.
All the streets that are no longer used, you have to pay crossings on them.
Yes, unless the track, so because they still own the property. There's a couple of them where the tracks were removed, like on 6th Street where we bought the property. Those we don't pay, but there's one on the west side that we do pay. The track is gone, but they still own the property, so therefore they can, we discussed this, believe me, several times with the attorneys, and because they still own the property, the way their lease reads, that they have the right to charge us. No. That's federal law. We can, but they don't have to pay, because that's federal law, that they don't have to.
That's when we shut off the camera.
Yeah, this one is used,
Come down,
yeah.
go across. Any other questions? Consent agenda items, discussion with that. I got a couple things under new business, I mean, that's not. Both of the Oh, I apologize, Mr. President. Under old business number 8, the parking restrictions, it appears in both cases here that petitioners aren't getting what they asked for. So when it comes to 4th Street Northeast, if I read that right, the request was for 1 hour parking? Correct, the request is for 1 hour parking, yes. And then, but then, what we're going to consider is 3 hour parking on the block, right? In front of their parcel, in front of their property, yes. Okay. And they expressed that the hours is okay when you requested 1. They haven't expressed one way or the other, no. Okay, well, I mean, I think we would consider the request. It didn't sound like the respondents to the notification letter really felt strong one way or another. Right? They didn't. It comes back to enforcement on it. Sticking with Shermer here, it'd be easier to look at that as far as it's the same parking restriction as the downtown area. Most of the downtown has 3 hour parking throughout it. And so if you also extend that over to 4th Street, then the officers that are doing patrol would also know that stretch would also have a 3 hour parking as well. I don't think that's too onerous. The city's not that large. Yes, but any other consent agenda items? You don't want to talk about it right now? We'll have Jeff talk about it when we get to that point. Okay. That's what's on our agenda. I know there isn't a spot on the work session for new business or old business, so that's but I can defer until the regular session. Thank you. Consent agenda items. Council information items. Council informational only items. Greensteps Cities program.
Yeah, Council President. Actually, since the time the agenda went out, I was able to confirm and invited some representatives here from the League of Minnesota Cities. Their Assistant Executive Director, Luke Fisher, and then a board member, Jonathan Smith. He's the City Administrator in Perham. They're not experts on Greenstep cities, nor are they going to talk about Greenstep cities, but we have had a lot of questions and concerns brought up about the League of Minnesota Cities, and I invited them here to give us some information about the league services they provide to their members throughout the city. So,
Okay. I would like to make one comment about
Sure.
this before
Yeah.
we start. Last week when we had someone that was an invited guest to the city council come to give us information, there was noise when she was talking, there was booing, comments about what she said. If you're going to do that tonight, I'm going to ask you to leave because be courteous to the people that are talking as they work to you. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. President, Mayor, Council. Thanks for having us today. Jonathan Smith, I'm City Manager in Perham, Minnesota. Been privileged to be on the league board. Most recent term filling a vacancy, so I've been on it for 3 months. Prior to that, I was a representative for the Association of Small Cities and served a 3-year term on the league board. So thank you again for the time, and my privilege to kind of be here and begin with Luke, and I'll let him introduce himself. To give a little bit of information on the League of Minnesota Cities, basically what we do, why we're important, and how we kind of help out all cities in the state of Minnesota. So maybe I'll just touch a little bit on the league the format of the league. So the league of Minnesota Cities was founded in 1913 for the sole purpose of being support to cities around the state. We currently have a board of directors, 19 members on that board. The league president currently is Heidi O'Mirza, city council member from the city of Ely. 12 board members are elected officials from around the state, and 7 are staff members like myself. Membership spans all over the state, with representation from small cities like Slayton and Oak Park Heights, as well as larger communities like Bemidji and Lakeville. The board works to really balance the needs of cities across the state. Again, with a wide representation of both large and small, metro, greater Minnesota, we strive for a mix of just that solid representation from around the state. The board meetings, like a city council meeting, listen to staff reports. We rely a lot on the league staff and the intelligence level that they bring. And we deal with policy decisions and just the direction of where the league is going. We've been fortunate to be really active in legislative issues. The IGR team at the league is superior to those around the nation and really keep us up to date on advocacy issues that really mean a lot to local governments. Again, just briefly about myself, city manager in Perham. I've been there for about 3 years. I was in the city of Frazee prior to that for about 8 years as the city administrator. So been in local government for a little while and been part of the league since I started, and just been able to capitalize on the resources and opportunities that they present to all cities across the state. So I'm going to let Luke maybe jump in.
Good evening, Council President, Mayor, and members of the Council. I'm Luke Fisher. I'm Deputy Director of the League of Minnesota Cities. I really appreciate the opportunity to be here. I see at least one face that I recognize from the newly elected training council members. Good to see you again. As John said, we just wanted to share a little bit of information about who we are as an organization. I'm sorry, we had a presentation. I loaded the wrong one on the PowerPoint. So we have a few slides go up. We've asked for some slides, but we'll maybe kind of go off script a little bit just to kind of keep the conversation going. So as John said, as an organization, we're led by a board of directors. We represent 833 of the 853 cities in the state. The 20 cities that aren't our members are small cities that are largely disorganized. members have fewer than 4,000 residents. So I know that our offices are in St. Paul, but a lot of our work happens across the state with small communities where we partner with cities to help them provide the services that they need to provide in order to keep life viable in Cleveland. As an organization, we're an insurance company or an insurance co-op. We're owned by all of our members. You're a member, you buy insurance from us. We provide property casualty and workers' comp insurance. And each year our insurance department handles about 8,000 insurance claims, which is pretty significant. One of the coverages that we provide as an organization is land use coverage. So if you get sued for a land use decision that you make, we'll help you with your legal defense to make sure that you're making the best decision possible, and it's not just the developer's attorney that's guiding the city's land use decisions. We also have a research staff in the league that responds to about 4,000 member inquiries every year. That research team is made up of 6 to 7 attorneys that handle those calls. They range everything from I'd like a model ordinance on barking dogs to more complex questions. We have an HR staff that handles about 2,000 member inquiries every year. So if you have a sticky personnel problem, you can call us and we'll help provide you some guidance in navigating those questions. Every year we see about 2,500 city officials at a big training conference or event. So there's a lot of city officials from across the state that come to some of our offerings. And we've got one guy, he's got a really interesting job. His name is Chris Smith. Chris Smith reviews about 1,000 contracts on behalf of cities for us every year. There's one guy that does 1,000 contracts. It's incredible. And the guy actually has a wonderful personality and he's a lot of fun to be around. So I have no idea how he does it. Yeah, if you want to talk a little bit about our legislative advocacy, and I'll pass around our legislative priorities.
So one of the many things that I've been fortunate to be a part of is the legislative policy committee process. So as you may or may not be aware, they have I think 3 or 4 different policy committees that the league puts together and does just about every late summer, early fall. And ranging, basically setting the tone for the next legislative session and the policies and things that we anticipate the state looking at. And really taking a deep look at those to figure out the impacts that they have on municipalities. And whether or not they're good, bad, or indifferent, but making sure that we're vetting legislation from previous years, or maybe it's something brand new that we haven't even seen before, whereas we need to take a balanced approach at it and what's in the best interest of all cities. It's an interesting process because, again, representation on those range from the small cities to the largest of large, and really looking at it as a holistic approach of what's in the best interest of all Minnesota cities. And it's a unique place to be. We're all there with obviously our cities in mind and representing them. But when you're especially serving on a board of that nature, you're really looking at what is really the best thing for Minnesota and for the municipalities that we represent. And so it really generates the ability to think in a greater picture than generally just that local view sometimes. So I would encourage as those come out, and I think John's been part of those and has been pretty active in those policy committees. They've just been great. Local government aid is always one that we've advocated for. Obviously, we're seeing some great movement with that this year. So that's some good thing. Some solid things coming up. Local control has been one of those issues that the state's kind of breached a little bit in the last couple of years. So we're always being mindful of where we're at and the ability for cities to be able to make decisions in what's the best interest of them. City street funding, always an issue as well. We've been working pretty diligently on finding funding sources. Not necessarily always the most favorable funding sources, but trying to find funding sources that are sustainable for us to keep up with our city street projects. Those are kind of some of the big ones that we've touched on, and again, that's a process that happens every fall. That's again is pretty active, and I think there's generally 3 meetings of each policy committee. Again, really deep dive look at all kind of the structures and processes there, and then as being part of the board, we get probably some materials passed around. I think Luke will probably talk a little bit about the annual conference coming up as well. That's really a good place to get your name in the hat if you're interested in serving on those committees. And we'd encourage you to be involved with that process. So,
Okay, maybe just a couple of quick concluding thoughts, if that's all right yet. You'll see there's a map that's included in the packet of the state with a bunch of black dots on it. And over the course of the past year and a half or so, we've really gone out as an organization to meet with mayors, city council members, council presidents, staff, to understand how we're doing as an organization, what resources you need, and how we can better partner with you to bring you support and assistance where appropriate. So far, we've got about 250 city officials at a coffee shop or a restaurant or at a city hall conference room just to get some feedback, and it's been really wonderful for us, and I think it's helped us provide better services. One of the things that we've done in some of these partnerships that we've been able to make and in some of these connections that we've had is we've been able to get people connected, keep people talking to different cities, because you'd be surprised, the issues in Little Falls aren't that different than the issues in Slayton, just like the issues in Minneapolis sometimes aren't that different than the issues in Duluth. So we've helped people get connected, and one of the ways that we've done that is we found a city that had a lot of conflict going on. There was some tension between staff and between the council, and we realized that there was a brand new mayor and a brand new administrator, and there wasn't great role clarity. So we were able to find both of them a mentor so they could figure out how to talk about things the right way and resolve a lot of their concerns and issues. That's good for the city. It was good certainly for the people that were involved, but it's some of those more subtle connections that we're able to make that we think can be helpful. We've also had cities raise issues, common issues, that have come up in some of these meetings where we find out, well, geez, we heard about that in northwest Minnesota, and now we're down in southeast Minnesota, and we're able to get those folks connected and help them sort of share the best ideas and best practices that are out there. And I think that that's something that's really beneficial about the league. You know, as John said, it's an organization of mayors, it's an organization of council members, it's an organization of city staff that are really coming together to just try to do good work on behalf of their community. So there's some information I saw up on the dais. You got our magazine, so you already know about our annual conference. It's coming up in June 26th to 28th. It'll be in Duluth. We have a wide range of topics that we're going to cover. I think there's something like 30 breakout sessions that range from working with the railroad. I heard a railroad question tonight to better, more effective communication tools and skills that are out there. We're going to cover some public safety topics, some HR topics, and so it's a nice gamut and a good way to come and learn and interact and network. Another important thing that we're coming up that I dropped off on the dais is some information about our loss control workshops. And our loss control workshops provide a great opportunity for staff to come and learn best practices to prevent injuries and other accidents that happen in the workplace. As an organization, I mentioned, we help provide insurance, and helping you keep your employees working and productive and happy in their role is an important thing that I think that we can help with. We've got some expertise in that area, so we're happy to do that. So with that, I think we've talked for way too long already, but we thought that we'd answer any questions that you might have. Excuse me, Mr. President, who does the league answer to? To John. We have a board of directors. It's 19 members. They're council members, they're city managers, they're mayors from across the state. They are selected by our membership. Our membership is our cities. Each city gets to vote at our annual conference on our leadership board. Board members serve 3-year terms, and then our executive committee generally comes from people that have served for a 3-year term and then apply to be a second vice president, first vice president, president. Get that right? Yep. Thank you. Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for your time. Mr. President, I've got a couple of things on Greensteps City. First of all, the comment, and I know that we're not to address these, but this is, I'm going to talk about credibility and my concerns, because when it comes out, some of the things that are said, when it comes out, that Sourcewell in Region 5 that John Bumble and most of this council should know, Sourcewell represents themselves.
they're a service co-op. The only thing they have to do in Region 5 is they serve Region 5 schools. They donated for the level 4 special ed building here in Wadena. That's the only thing they have to do with Region 5. I know, so you might want to take a look at it because they represent Region 5 and that's where a lot of their members are at, but it's got nothing to do with Region 5, the entity. So that's just for clarification. So I get concerned with things like that. And I spoke with the mayor of Royalton, and some of the things he said, there's nothing mandatory. They're required if you're trying to get to the next level. You can leave whenever you want. It's voluntary. Set right in all of the different resolutions that have been written that it's voluntary. And one point that was made was they do not budget anything for Greensteps cities, and our focus is always on what is best for the city and the budget. Making a change to reduce energy is not even neutral or reflects a cost reduction to our budget. We do not do it. And 100% voluntary program. So I've got some concerns about credibility when I'm hearing these things. And I believe there was something said about the League of Minnesota Cities being tied to Agenda 21. John was accused of, or said that John was on the board of directors. That's not true. So I just, I have some concerns with that. And I'll leave it at that and see what happens for the rest of the week. And then I will.
Council President, can I want to address a couple things that came up from the last meeting, and I thank you. I did send an inquiry out to, because there was, I think the question came up of how many communities have joined and then left, because there was concerns about even being able to leave. Since the program started, there's 188 cities that have been members, only 4 have left, and they were Hanover, Black Duck, Breezy Point, and Laverne, for various reasons, most of which were lack of interest. I communicated to my colleagues through our listserv and asked the question if there was anybody that had brought up the resolution and then passed it. And the only city that responded to that was Ramsey. Many of the respondents said that they do the program, they have no concerns, there's no mandates, there's no required things. They do the program as they choose, as it fits for their city. So that was just some of the feedback that we had. I also wanted to, I know the mayor spoke about it, and I wanted to address the Region 5 Sourcewell statement. Is that okay? They are two Minnesota statutorily created different entities. As the mayor said, Sourcewell is a service cooperative that serves Region 5 counties of Cass, Wadena, Todd, Morrison, and Crow Wing. Region 5 Planning Development Commission is a statutorily created planning development commission that serves Region 5 counties of Cass, Crow Wing, Wadena, Todd, Morrison. They overlap in their service territory. They do not overlap in their services that they provide. They are two very distinct things, as I think many of you are aware, because you've had interactions with them in various capacities over the years. So I just wanted to reiterate that. So if you saw my head shaking no to the statement, that's because it's not true.
Thank you for doing that.
I heard the term rose-colored glasses. I heard the term liars. I heard the term stupid. Every person on this council does their homework. Nobody's wearing rose-colored glasses. Every single person looks at both sides of the issue before they make a decision. My decision was made before you came, and I am going to vote against this. But if my decision had not been made before, I would have voted for it just because of the animosity I'm hearing coming. I just feel really insulted that there's that the council isn't doing their homework, that they don't know what this is about. And that's all I have to say.
I'd like to say one thing in response to pressure from Greensteps. I have received no pressure. I'm not aware there has been any pressure. This is not something that we're enforcing from like Greensteps to vote for. So that's not taking place. I just wanted to know.
Eventually we brought it by us to try and find ways to run our buildings and our processes more efficiently and lower cost for the citizens of Little Falls. And then, as the President said, it was touched on, the presentation, when you come before us, when Melissa was moved, Melissa was called a liar. The disrespect, and now tonight we are brought before God and we are told that we'll be run out if we vote for it. You know, for somebody who's been giving half of his life to this community, that hurts. Over half of the people that came up and spoke are not Little Falls city residents, voting residents. Each time, it was half and half the first time, less than half this time. But anybody that serves up here works hard at what they do. And that hurts. I don't like to hear that. And you know what? I could have easily stepped back from this and said, well, that's not a receipt. Let's just drop it. But now I have to take the thing because some of the things that you spoke against tonight, and in the past, are just totally untrue and hurtful. All my time on here, where I was on the school board for 10 years, I did what I thought best for kids on the school board, and now I do what I think is best for the city. And I have a saying that I use around here, like, don't reward the bad behavior. And I'm sorry. I wish we could collaborate and have a conversation about this, but that hasn't been able to happen, so I'm done. Really good time.
Mr. President, like a second. I have had some of my constituents from the 3rd Ward that call me on this program. And when I talked to them, explained to them what I've come up with, what I've researched, and what I told them the concerns I have, and what I plan on doing, they commended me and they said that's exactly why we voted for you. Because we know you're going to look into it and you're going to make the right decision for the people of Little Falls. So when people sit there and think that we're up here without respect of what our constituents are saying or thinking, it just shows that, you know, some people really don't understand what we do as a council. I will speak more on what I found later on. Local places, strategic planning session, John.
Thank you, President. The city was approached by Sprout and the CBB to join on a letter of support to an application to the U.S. Department of Agriculture's Local Foods, Local Places project. What this project supports locally led, community-driven efforts to protect air and water quality, preserve open space farmland, boost economic opportunities for local farmers and businesses, improve access to healthy local food, and promote childhood wellness. They were awarded this grant. This grant is for a 1.5-day facilitation process to come up with ideas. This is not a program that creates grants or gives out grants or gives out funding. It's for bringing the community together. The team from USDA comes into the community, meets with partners that within the community would work together to come up with a plan. So we're the first community in the state of Minnesota that's been awarded this since the program started in 2017. There's been dozens of communities across the country that have been awarded this opportunity to participate in this strategic planning session. But none of them in Minnesota. I think one community in Wisconsin was awarded, but most of them have been in other parts of the country, a lot of the South. So it's really quite an honor to be selected for this. It's not something that goes to everybody that applies. It's pretty unique. So to have Sprout kind of being the spearhead for this, it really is an idea around collaborating to bring the food to the people and use that to help revitalize our communities. So connecting our cities to the farmers. I think we heard some of those messages, and I think that's where rural community, very close to agriculture and building those connections and supporting one another, I think is very, very positive as a kid who grew up on a dairy farm. And being able to connect the two from the farm to the city. So there is opportunity for representation on that strategic planning committee. So if there is a council member or interest on that, please contact me. I know that they would really welcome that to join a part of the group. No. Yeah, just bringing that information that we have received the award. As the planning session finalizes, they're just working. We just got an announcement of this between the last meeting and now. We have to do some finalization on the steering committee for the planning committee membership later, but that'll come, I think, in April. And then the planning meeting should be in May.
Highway 27 project bid assessments grant.
Thank you, Mr. President. In your packet, we have a draft assessment roll for the County Highway 27's assessment for our 27 project. As you recall, we opened up bids last month. They came in a little bit higher for our portion of it, as well as MnDOT's portion. And so we took a close look at what the prices would be for some property owners. So we've got a couple of columns in there. We've got the total cost, which is equivalent, just our standard rate of the project to give an assessment for those individual parcels. Then we also looked at what the estimated market value in each individual parcel would be. So if you've got a $50,000 house versus a $150,000 house, obviously you're not able to show the benefit as much to the $50,000 as you're at the $150,000. So we want to kind of capture that in the assessment as well. And then we put on basically a 10% assessment limit. So again, going back to that $50,000 house, 10% assessment limit would be capped at $5,000. The $150,000 house, the limit would be capped at that $15,000 mark. Then we also looked at what is the estimated market benefit to the adjacent property. And again, that's based on the various improvements, whether it's just street or it includes the utilities underneath. And then based on those three numbers, the general assessment that we would typically do, the 10% cap and the estimated market benefit, the lower of those three is what we are proposing to assess the parcel along the County Highway 27 project. So if the council's okay with that process, we'll go ahead and update this. I'd like to send these out to the folks along the 27. I know at our public hearing, we mentioned we would give updated costs to them, and so that they would kind of have an idea. I would say about 90-some% of these are less than what they were the first time around, so there was a decrease in that once we took a look at where everything was at, the actual quantities, and how the breakout would occur. So that's good news. It means we're seeing costs, but it's good news overall. And it's a fair way, I think, to assess these parcels.
Questions? Greg, is it typical for these to go down, or is that because of what, so that we overestimate it, or is there, I do that just so we don't?
No, I usually like to overestimate. I mean, when we first do our assessments, it's early on in the stage, we don't have a plan finalized. We've got the feasibility report, but there's not everything done at that point in time with the feasibility report. We don't have all the totals complete, we don't have the design 100% fine-tuned. And so when we do that, there's some, tweaks that we have to make in order to, or guesses, I would say, in order to come up with a preliminary assessment. Once we get the design done and get the bids in, then we have a much better handle on what the project will entail. There still could be some changes. Obviously, we don't know exactly what's under the ground until we dig it up. There's probably going to be some backflow that we'll find down there. And I can't tell if it's going to be 100 yards or if it's going to be 1,000 yards. We'll make our best guess to how much is underneath there. This at least has our final design quantities incorporated into it, so it's a much clearer picture in terms of what those assessments would be. But there's still some potential that they would change. We did build in some contingency and we'll have to make sure they didn't go back up, but there's that.
So the final assessment comes when the project is finished.
Final assessment comes when we're probably about 80% done with the project. I would say there's going to be turf grass that needs to be grown yet, which is probably the top row, but it's when we're much farther along in the project, I'd say about 80% done when it's substantially completed and handle on what's left to be done on the project.
So at 1574, that's price per what?
That is for the bituminous reconstruction. So there are areas west of town where we're just replacing the blacktop and the gravel, and not necessarily doing all of the sewer and water underneath. So we're not wanting to test those folks for that work. It's strictly for the work that's being done in front of us.
So this isn't really, that 1574 isn't an actual bid that somebody had put in, this is an estimate of what?
No, so we got the bids from the contractor, and then there's pieces of that bid. This was about a $7.5 million project. So there are pieces of it that pertain to the various parts. So the blacktop and the integrity base, that's included in the 1574. We have to break it out based on the work that's being done in front.
Thank you.
Other items?
Hey,
I've had a couple of people, phone calls, concerned about our 2019, budget, where we were budgeting for a few projects on some of our historical areas, with moving the garage from out by Pine Grove Zoo and replacing the porch and stuff like that. So I hope we really get some good information on that stuff before we go and start doing things in there. I've had a few people call me with concerns on that stuff, so. We will adjourn to our 7:30 meeting. That's what you wanted.